Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Well, we've got the information for you right here, and Dave's going to tell you about it.
Absolutely, guys. We use this awesome application called Anchor FM. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First off, it's free.
And who doesn't like free?
Yeah, free's huge. That's what got us involved with it. Second of all, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. So you don't need all those fancy gadgets. You can have them if you want them, but not absolutely necessary.
Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and many other platforms.
Which is great. More people can hear us.
Who doesn't want more people to hear us?
I mean, I like to be heard.
I like to talk.
Another great thing is you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Like 0 people could listen to you and you could still possibly make some money.
That's amazing.
How does that even happen? It's everything you need right here to make a podcast in one place.
It's a one-stop shop and it's all you need. Anchor FM.
Yeah, so you guys, if you want to start this podcast, go to anchorfm.com to get started. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Apogee Fitness Podcast, coming to you from the Apogee Therapy Center recording studio. My name is David Carter.
My name is Brandon O'Connell.
We've got a new voice on the podcast today. So Kevin gave me a call today. He was super upset about it, but just wasn't feeling up to doing the podcast tonight, feeling a little under the weather. So I called my boy Brandon up, and he came in clutch, and he is here with us tonight.
Pleasure to be here, man. It was definitely a call I wasn't expecting on a rower, but, hey, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so we call him up, and he's like, dude. And I'm like, are you all right? You going to be okay?
Not at all.
But anyways, yeah, he accepted, and he got over here. He showered, thankfully, first, which is nice.
I had to, man. I wasn't going to sit in this room with you.
I told him, man, I've been pretty gassy today, so maybe that shower would have equaled me out.
No, man, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that.
So we're doing another remote podcast today, so we're doing this via FaceTime. Our guest this week is kind of near and dear to my heart a little bit. I've been knowing this guest probably now for close to 8 years. So the guest tonight is Danielle Dunlap, formerly Danielle Boudreau.
You said it right.
I said it correct. See, I've known her long enough, but I tell you what, I've probably known her for 2 or 3 years before I actually knew how to pronounce her last name because it's spelled completely different than
Too
how
many
you say
vowels.
it. Yeah, it's a West Michigan thing. I always tell people that. Real quick story. Here at Apogee Therapy Center, my practice manager, her name is Jessica, and she's from Greer, South Carolina. She also does all the billing for our clinics, not only here, but up in Michigan. So she frequently has to ask me how to pronounce some of these Dutch names, and they just kind of spit off my tongue like it's normal because I'm so used to it. But anything with like a D or like some of these are kind of just outrageous, and it's just this hilarious running joke that we have going on at work. But anyways, Danielle is married up a little bit here to Danielle Dunlap, which is much easier to say. So, yes. Real quick, before we bring her on completely, I want to give her a quick shout out for some of the accolades that Danielle has kind of had throughout her CrossFit career. So she's been to a couple of sectional events like Wadapalooza and Granite Games, specifically in 2016, 2017, 2018. In 2018, she was recruited to go to Iowa to be on Team OC3. While she was there, she was the fittest female in Iowa for the Open. Let's see. This year, she was 51st in the quarterfinals out of 8,000 females, and she qualified for the MACC. And in the MACC, she then qualified for the Last Chance Qualifier, and she just got done with that. So I'm super excited to talk to her about all this stuff, but then specifically, obviously, the most recent history of the Last Chance Qualifier in the MACC. But before I say that, the most notable competition she's ever been in was the Crash Crucible, for sure. And we'll talk about that, too. So, Danielle, what's up?
Not much. It's great to be on the podcast with you guys.
Yeah, man. It's great for you to be here. I've been looking forward to this one. We've had to reschedule it like twice, so I'm glad we're finally making it happen.
Me too.
So, Danielle, is this your first podcast interview, or have you done a few of these?
This is my third podcast interview.
Fantastic.
Yep, I did one with back in the day when I qualified for my first regional back in 17 with Triple River CrossFit. They now own the Pitt Fitness Ranch, notable for the teen competitions with Brock Yost, and he is fun to talk to. And then I did one recently with Obstacle Course Racing Media.
Really? How did that one happen?
So I met them when Hunter McIntyre came and did Memorial Day Murph.
Okay.
At our gym when he was trying to set the record.
Okay.
And their media guy loved babies, and Reagan's super cute, and I was her mom, so made that connection there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hunter McIntyre, he almost fell off the map. I mean, that was like the talk of the land in 2019.
Yes.
And I don't think is he even doing CrossFit right now?
He's not. No, he's actually doing the High Rocks. I'm not sure if you've heard anything about that, but it's a really cool like endurance competition. They incorporate all of the machines that we use in CrossFit, but it's like a long endurance based workout. But they also include like sled pushes and things like that. Good for enduro freaks.
Yeah,
like
that's right down his lane. All right, so Danielle, getting into a little bit about you so the audience knows who they're talking about. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, like where are you from, where were you raised, what kind of family life did you have growing up, and was sports always kind of a part of your life?
Absolutely. So I was born and raised in Indiana. I lived there until I was 12, and it was in a not so good area. So my parents looked for a better place to raise us. They brought us up to Holland, Michigan, and that's where I met you.
Mm-hmm.
I moved away after high school, and I went to college in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I got a college cheerleading scholarship there. We did competitive for a year, so all of the tumbling and stuff that you see on ESPN, I was doing that, not at that level, but I was doing that. And then sideline, our football team was pretty good. They were NAIA, so a little bit smaller,
Sure.
But it was fun. And then I moved back here, and just love Michigan, love being on the lake. It's beautiful here. So
Absolutely.
my family and I were very close. We grew up on the water. We boated my entire life. I was in the car seat on our little V-berth boat, falling asleep. So the water is like my second home.
Right, yeah. I think it's funny when I talk to a lot of people about West Michigan, they don't realize how beautiful it is there in the summer and how much water there is outside of Lake Michigan. And then I'm sure you've noticed this too, moving to North Carolina, trying to explain how big Lake Michigan is to folks.
You can't.
People don't understand.
They don't understand.
You can't.
Call it the Michigan Ocean.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
beautiful.
So you said something that I want to touch on. I want to dig a little deeper here. You moved from Indiana to Michigan when you were 12. That's a very formidable age. Talk a little bit about that transition.
It was really tough. I was going into, I think, 5th grade. Everybody had their friends already, and going into schools up here was hard at that age. Everybody, I guess, was a little cliquey, and I was a little tomboy. And I like to run and do sports, and I had short hair at the time. And I didn't really fit in with all of these tall Dutch girls.
Tell me about it.
Right.
But yeah, we made it work.
Yeah. So sports, you did the gymnastics, you did the cheerleading, you did the tumbling, you graduate from the school in Fort Wayne, you move back to Grand Rapids, Holland area. At that point, you've been doing so much sports and I guess training for those sports, was it kind of like almost a turnoff to continue to do fitness, or was it like a natural thing to find something to go and try to be competitive in again?
That is a very loaded question, with a loaded answer. So I'm going to give you long story short.
We've got time. So
Okay.
I don't know if you've listened to a lot of our episodes, but they're pretty long. So go for it.
So whatever you're feeling,
Okay.
you go.
Yeah.
So I stopped cheerleading in college. I think my junior year, in the middle of the season, I finished football, didn't end up going through to basketball season. And I started working full time. I was living on my own and had broken up with my boyfriend, and was in a very, very dark place. Um, I worked at a bar.
Mm-hmm.
So it was super easy to drink all the time. I could drink on the job. I got very unhealthy and just mentally was not in a good place. So I moved back home, and that was really hard. Being on your own for 4 years in college, you feel super independent and on
Right.
top of the world. And then you move back home with your parents, and it's, like being in high school again, and it sucks.
Right.
But they were there for me during that time, and I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings with my health and exercise science degree. So that was really tough too.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was 2013. But I saw Sam Briggs on ESPN while I was working at B-Dubs win her title for the CrossFit Games. And I was
wow.
like, I want to do that. So I found a CrossFit gym. I did not get the community environment that a lot of people say that they get.
Mm-hmm.
So another gym opened up shortly after that, and I was hooked. Everybody was super nice. I love the classes. I got my L1 shortly after that. And the owner at the time he's still the owner, but there was a competition that they were doing, and they're like, you should do this. So 3 months into CrossFit, I go to 8th Day Gym,
Okay.
which they're going to the games this year. It was a very prestigious gym still then, at that time. And as soon as I went and did that competition, I decided that I wasn't going to go drink anymore. I was going to live a healthier lifestyle, and really, just got hooked on the atmosphere, the people, the sweat, the burn, all of it. I loved it.
So was that a team competition or was that individual?
Yeah, that was a team competition too, team of 3 girls.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So do you remember how you placed in it?
This, I do, because they were taking top 5 to go to the finals, and we made it to the finals.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was Alyssa Ritchie's gym back in the day when she was doing CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
So Alyssa Ritchie was there, and I was super intimidated because you got this like all-star regional athlete, and she's just, killing it, and we're still doing scaled weights and scaled movements and, knees to chest, and couldn't do a muscle up, but I love the idea of doing it.
Wow.
So.
Well, you progressed very quickly then, because I feel like when I walked into CrossFit Lake Effect, I think that was either at the very end of 2013 or I know it was at least at the beginning of 2014.
I told you I was hooked.
Yeah, no doubt, because it's funny. Like, y'all have seen Danielle on TV lately because she was at the MACC. She's been at Central Regionals, so you guys have seen her on TV and what she looks like. I'll tell you what, back in 2013 or 2014, I remember walking into the gym at 5:30 in the morning for the first time, and my coach was Danielle. And she's this little short thing. She's like, what, 5'3", maybe 5'4"?
5'4", yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that inch. And she had beach blonde hair. She was wearing high top Converse white shoes.
Yes.
And she was like yelling at you from the very beginning. All right, let's freaking warm up. What are we standing around for? Like, she was very gung-ho right from the very beginning. And, oh yeah, I forgot also the fake bake tan. So this beach blonde hair, the fake bake tan,
That is awesome.
and the white Converses.
And just yelling at you.
It's so funny to see kind of like your full circle of where you are now from where you were then as far as your persona. And we're going to get more into that. I know it. But let's talk a little bit about at what point did you realize you were pretty good at CrossFit? And then at some point I'm going to let Brandon talk, I promise.
Oh, no, you're good, man. I'm enjoying listening to this.
Yeah.
We've got history, David. I think that's why.
We do. Yep.
Yeah. So I feel like I thought that I could do something when I think it was 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I think they were taking like top 30 or top 25 or something to go to regionals. And I think I was like 31 or 32.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was like right outside that bubble. So they were asking for videos and emailing me and stuff. And on this email that they said, I remember I was in Florida. I was on vacation when I was getting it. Just keep refreshing my little laptop
Mm-hmm.
at the time. And they said, okay, for this year, we're just going to take, top, 30 or whatever it was. And they foregoed my spot. And I wasn't strong enough. I wasn't ready. But I think that year I thought, like, hey, I can make a push to go to regionals this year. I'm going to, take this even more seriously, count my macros, make sure I'm drinking enough water and taking care of myself as far as yoga and body work and all that stuff.
Now, how long have you been training when you had that 30-second finish in regional? Or 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, I think it was about 2 years. 2.5.
Yeah, so she progressed quickly.
That's impressive, yeah.
I remember.
I'm a really good open athlete.
Yes, you got an
okay.
engine. I remember.
Gotcha.
Well, how could you not be at CrossFit Lake Effect with that Friday Night Lights back in the day? That was fire.
So good.
That was fire. That was. I still got a picture of AJ judging me. I think it was 14.1. So I was showing everybody. I was like, "Oh yeah, that guy who did 340 snatch at Granite Games. He's my buddy."
Yeah.
But no, it's funny. I wanted to mention this because I was thinking about this ever since I knew you were going to come on the podcast. Because one of my memories of you is having a quick conversation with you, as far as like we were training or something, and you were just like pushing it really hard. And I remember being like, are you gonna take a break? Are you gonna let somebody? And maybe it was a partner workout. I don't know. And you were like, no, man, I have goals. I want to be on TV. That's what you said. You said, I just really want to be on TV. And that stuck with me for a while because now I know, it's so much more than that. Like, it's not just about being on TV. So, like, the whole mindset changed. So when do you think that happened where it was, like, not so much about being on TV and getting known, but more about the training and the process and enjoying what you're doing?
Honestly, it was when I started Ben Bergeron's comp train. He is a great coach, and I think they've developed a really good program over there. I think I started comp train in maybe 15 or 16, with the boys, with AJ and Regan and all them, the OGs.
Yeah.
I think it was then because I started listening. I'm not sure if he had podcasts back at that time or what it was, but he had all these books that, he recommended reading, and they just like completely changed my mindset as far as the athlete that I want to be and the coach that I wanted to be for people. And me saying that I wanted to be on TV is really embarrassing.
Well,
so
it's because you were young. Yeah, I just remember that and being like, yeah, that would be really cool. But, what's the other goal?
Yeah, it definitely, I mean, that was probably just mid-wad brain.
Yeah, right.
Talking.
No, I'm not trying to embarrass you. I just remember that just stuck out in my head.
Yeah, no, that's hilarious. I don't even remember that. So
yeah.
It's so funny that you brought that up.
Yeah. Well, so how long were you doing Ben Bergeron's comp train?
I did comp train all the way up until I left for OC3, and then I switched and did their stuff.
Okay, cool. So I want to get into a little bit about your training at CrossFit Lake Effect, where there are some pretty gunners there. Obviously, AJ at the time was crushing it. He was at the top of his game. And hopefully, I think he's going to get back there, hopefully. But
he will.
He will. And then, we got you, and then, like you said, Reagan, and what was that other guy's name? who was a coach.
Jack.
Jack. Yeah, Jack.
Yeah.
And so
all the boys from GVSU Strength Club.
Exactly. So talk a little bit about that time is when these super teams started to be created. And I think you kind of saw that as like a gateway to the CrossFit Games. Maybe before qualifying for an individual, maybe this is like a way to get there and then go from there. Talk about, like, I think a lot of people have thought about this, like the recruiting process for some of these super teams. Like, how did they reach out to you? Was it a big decision to move from West Michigan, where you got like this awesome setup at the time, like your boyfriend was there, and then you're packing up shop and heading to Iowa?
Yeah, that was a big transition. I think it definitely inspired me, because in 2017, that was the year that he went with Timberwolf. And he was up in Minnesota training, and that was the year that I went to regionals for the first time. And I went to the CrossFit Games that year. That was the first year that I've been to the CrossFit Games. That was the first year they were in Madison. Just a really, really cool and inspiring experience. But I mean, all of these men and women, they make fitness look so easy. So I'm looking at the girls on these teams and I'm like, I can do that. I can totally do that. And the experience that comes with a team is, I think, extremely valuable. Not necessarily like just growing to the CrossFit Games, but getting to know other people and, communication with a team is, extremely important to be successful. But I really thought that would be a great way for me to kind of really get to where I wanted to get, and dip my feet in that way. OC3 and Timberwolf actually reached out to see if I wanted to be on their team. I was actually going to do a little tour and go to Iowa and then go to Minnesota. Timberwolf ended up falling apart before that ever happened. And then Andrea came down to OC3, and then things changed.
Right, and just to specify that's Andrea Neisler, who's now with Mayhem, correct? Yeah, so
Yep.
it's a pretty high roller.
I mean, yeah, you're surrounded by the best of the best all the time.
You got any questions about being on a team there, Brandon?
Can you talk for a minute on how team has helped you as an individual, and then also the differences with team on a regional or now at a semi level compared to indie, how it changes? Because a lot of athletes ask me that want to be individual, that are on a team, or vice versa. And can you at the highest level tell them the difference when training team compared to now being indie?
Absolutely. So with it now going back to the affiliate cup, I think that's really cool for affiliates, because you get to train with your team. Like, these people, what their jobs are, what their life is like outside the gym, and you're there for each other. My husband, Danielle Dunlap, he was on CrossFit for Vancouver's team for multiple years in a row, and he had an absolutely amazing experience with his team the years that he has gone, and a lot of it just fell together because it worked. They didn't try to put together a team. And I think that the super teams are amazing for the sport. But as far as getting that affiliate, I guess, community, like backing and support, it's just a difference. As far as training together, I think the most important thing is finding people that you want to see successful. So like people that are truly your friends and love you and care about you, instead of just being, just trying to beat each other in every single workout. I did not have the best experience at OC3, for reasons like that. Everybody just wanted to beat each other. So I think that finding a team that you can, really get behind, and you guys are like truly friends and love and care about each other. I think that goes further than any super team that is, how do I want to put this?
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
Selfish.
I get
Like
it
if
too.
you
Yeah,
if
it's
you
like
think
hired guns.
there's an example of this. Like if you watched, I remember back. Well, you might appreciate this. So the Detroit Pistons in 2000, it might have been like 5 or 6 when they won the national championship. They didn't have an all-star on that team unless you consider Big Ben an all-star. A lot of you guys probably don't even remember him because that's how.
Man, how do you forget that afro? Come on,
Oh,
man.
yeah, okay, all right, good deal. So, but they were going up against the Lakers that year, and that year they basically had a super team. They had Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and
man, yeah,
a
there was
couple
a
other guys
squad.
that were just Rick Fox. Some guys, they were kind of like in the latter part of the year, but still like all-stars. They were all all-stars. And they got slaughtered by a team that truly loved each other. And like if you hear interviews of that team, the Pistons team to this day, they all still hang out. Like they're best friends, And when you come together as a team, I think that makes the biggest difference. I mean, I think you kind of get that from like maybe high school to college too. Like sometimes you've been playing with these guys in high school since you were like in 5th grade, so they're like your best friends. And then you go off to college where you're recruited and you're put together with all these other dudes who are super good, or ladies, and it might take a season for it to jive. And I think that's why so many college coaches get booted all the time, because they don't give them time for like these kids to jive.
And you got big personalities, and like that's what I've noticed in a lot of them is, I mean, you gotta be willing to work with other people, because everybody, if you're going on a team and you're going to, let's say now semis or now going to the games, everybody's a stud in some aspect. But you get people that just want to dominate, a workout or dominate this field. And I mean, the sport is growing so much. Like even watching this year, you can't have that. Everybody's got to work in unison and get it done. And that's what I've seen a lot, is like a lot of the old school teams where everybody just came out together and they've been trained 5-6 years, they just gel. Other than like, okay, 1 rep max is sure, big dogs are going to eat. But I guess that's kind of the difference that I'm seeing now with the athletes growing so fast, is how do you keep that humbleness, because you see teams switch all the time. Like they're getting this person or this person, or you get kicked off or whatever. So what made you go from like team to indie?
I think it was, if I would have gotten another opportunity to go to a different team, I probably would have taken it. However, I moved back home after Iowa and I started training by myself again. AJ was doing his whole weightlifting thing. And I guess I did get an opportunity to go team with 8th Day, but there was some friendship things that were more important to me than, doing that. So I, just tried to mentally get a break from the whole team thing, because my heart was a little destroyed. So I just wanted to get back to loving the sport again. And and then I met Alan and we got pregnant really fast.
Hey.
That's good.
So-
Hey man, there's a good ending to every bad story.
Always.
So,
Yeah.
or a good beginning to every bad story, maybe.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that Central Regional in, what was it, 2018 or 2017? Wait, was that that was after OC3, right? Or was
That was
That was
before.
before. Okay, talk about that Central, because I remember that one being stacked because, I'm drawing a blank. Icelandic chick.
Sarah and Sigmund's daughter.
Yeah, Sarah Sigmund's daughter.
She came over from Meridian.
I'm so focused on Danielle Dunlap
I know,
right now.
it
It's
gets
like,
hard,
yeah.
man, having to backtrack.
Yeah, so Sarah Sigmund's daughter was there, obviously along with a lot of other elite athletes. But being in that Central Regional in like that environment for the first time, talk about that. Because I do remember watching it, and I do remember you finishing pretty decently. And I remember specifically, I couldn't tell you what the event was, but I do remember like you and like Sarah and a couple other people going up to like people who are still working and cheering them on. So like you're there like as a comrade with these people.
Yeah, so my first time stepping out on that regional floor, I was so nervous because I was in the so that was the year that they did the vested run with the handstand push-ups, pull-ups, and air squats.
Oh yeah.
And that was a great workout for me because I'm a respiratory limited athlete and I can breathe really well.
Hmm.
So I came off the runner last, but before that run, I got this crazy, like, I could see everything else going on around me, but I couldn't focus on what I was doing. It was the weirdest thing. It was like all of these people were standing around because Sarah Sigmund's daughter was in that heat. Brooke Wells was in that heat. All the big girls from the Central East were there. So I was focused on everything else around me. It was the weirdest thing.
Hmm.
Weirdest thing. But coming off that runner last and then just slowly like making my way and, chipping off girls, that was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome to do, especially back then, and to be in that headspace, with those type of women. That's a tall order.
Especially
It
when
was.
you've been watching them at Centrals and games for the past couple years, so actually stepping on the floor with them had to been a little surreal.
And that's just
Yeah.
different too. Like, it's one thing like online qualifier, but when it's in person and you see it, like a similar one that I saw as a coach was we were in the sanctional and we flew out to Australia. And so we're out there in Australia and the first workout is a swim. And I don't know if y'all know, but swimming in Australia is not like swimming here. So we get out there and it's like 8 a.m. and it's like an 18-hour time difference, and it's horrible. But coming up the beach with like 2 other people, here comes Sam Briggs, and it was like majestic. And it was like, oh man, there it is. There's Sam Briggs. And I'm just like, here we go. And I was just like, but Hannah at the time, that was her first big sanctional. And the same thing Danielle did though. As time progressed, she kind of got at, she got like rattled for a second, but then as the workouts went in, started to find their groove. And I saw a lot of other girls there that didn't do that because that workout buried people. It was like a 400-meter open water swim, but you had to swim against the break. And then it was like 30 single dumbbell thrusters with a 44 for women, 66 for men, and like 30 burpees. And you watch like 4 girls just go down the first day. They just quit. I'm just like, I'm glad I'm coaching.
Yeah, not participating.
Yeah, like, because I was just like, wow. So, I mean, to be able to respond like that in a regional, that says a lot about who this woman is.
For sure. Absolutely. I'm not sure if I want to bring this up yet or not, but I'm going to because, all right, you did the Central, and obviously we're in Greenville, South Carolina, and I would say what 8th day is to Grand Rapids, Crash is what is to the upstate here. So doing the Crash Crucible, what was that like as far as like you've been in that regionals atmosphere and some of the talent, especially on the men's side? I know Alan participated as well, and he saw firsthand the talent that was there on the men's side. What was that atmosphere like compared to like a regional atmosphere as far as the competition? Maybe not like the stands and everything.
JR runs a really good competition. I will be going back. But that was super cool. Especially me, coming from Michigan, I had no idea who any of these girls were.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew Steph from myology. She was on the myology team.
Yeah, she's coming on in a few weeks.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
CrossFit. Yeah, she's going to the games with
Yeah,
Reignited
she is.
now.
Yep.
But yeah, the only girl that I knew was her, and so that was really good because I really had no pressure, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Comparatively, even the girls at Crash were super super fit, but it was a great competition and great experience, and it was also a plus that I won the first workouts. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew you were coming, and I remember talking you up to a lot of people, being like, "You guys don't even know she's coming, like she's coming for y'all." And then
Oh, thanks.
I remember I actually missed that first event, but I saw that you won on our little. We have local comp here that posts all the live scores, so I saw that you won, and I was like, "There it is." you know?
And just so we're clear, that first event was brutal.
It was brutal.
It was brutal. So I remember testing that, and I couldn't remember. I'm like, this is horrible. And then
I practiced it twice and I did not finish both times.
Wow. I remember talking to Josh Miller, who was there as well, and he was on a podcast a while ago now, but we talked about this, and he's like, bro, I don't even remember the last runner. I was just blacked out, you know?
So many people were like,
yeah.
And I just remember doing that and then getting back on that wall ball and then watching some of those girls, especially watching her push that run. I was like, yeah, she just pushed that click faster than I did. And I was like, oh my goodness. That was when I first realized who Danielle Dunlap was. And I was like, oh my.
Yeah.
Like, she's sending it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that Regs was only how many months old at that point?
I think she was 11 months at that point.
All right, so you're 11 months postpartum and crushing it at the Crash Crucible with that amount of talent, which is really awesome. We'll get back into that. Let's go back to your move from Michigan to North Carolina. How did that all happen?
Well, my husband's in the Army. And
first of all, okay, let's not glaze over that. How did you meet Alan Dunlap?
I met Alan Dunlap on Instagram.
All right, so did he slide in those DMs or something?
He slid into the DMs, yeah.
Look at that guy. So had you guys been at a competition and he saw you, or how did that happen?
We met at Wadapalooza in 2018.
Uh-huh.
And I was still dating somebody at the time, so I wasn't really looking for anything or whatever, but he was a nice person to talk to. And he asked me to write him at Basic, and I became single, so I wrote him. And as soon as he got his phone back when Basic was done, we were texting all the time, and we connected really well.
That's awesome. So when he got back, you were still in Michigan. Did he come straight to Michigan and live out there for a little bit, or how did that happen?
No, we actually did long distance until I moved to North Carolina and was pregnant with Reagan.
Nice.
That's awesome. So the wedding happened.
When you know.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. It was very quickly with Laura and I too when we met. But that's cool. So you make the transition from Michigan to North Carolina. I'm interested about that because, like I said, I've known you for a long time, and I know how invested you were in Lake Effect and just the whole Grand Rapids community in general. And just, like you said, being in love with West Michigan. Everybody is who lives there. I don't care how long you've been away, you still are in love with it. What was the transition like from going from West Michigan to North Carolina? And what part of North Carolina is it again?
So I live in Pinehurst, North Carolina, but Alan's based out of Fort Bragg.
Okay.
The transition was really hard. One, because I was 33 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
Two, because I knew no one. And three, Alan was working all the time in training. He just finished up his 3-year course, but I was basically by myself, and I would go to the gym and still train, but I couldn't do half of what I wanted to because I was growing another human.
Mm-hmm.
And I had saved enough money to not have to work, so I was just basically playing pregnant house army wife for 8 weeks, 9 weeks, because I was 41 weeks when I gave birth. But that was really, really hard because I was by myself and not able to do what I normally could do. And in a new place, no family, it was really hard.
How did you land going to Evolution Athletics?
My husband did a competition there and he won.
Okay.
And he ended up meeting the owner and went out the past, over a few weekends after that and said, hey, you got to meet this guy. I want you to work for him, but you should work with him. Super knowledgeable. We do a lot of tactical training. He's got, a couple CrossFit athletes, but it's a very competitive environment with people that have goals as far as military goals, CrossFit goals. We've got quite a few teenage athletes coming up, a lot of high school athletes as well. So it's just people that are at a high level that, want to succeed and that are putting work in the gym, that are serious about it.
That's awesome. So obviously you being super focused on your goal. I mean, you're pregnant right now, about to have a daughter, but you're still obviously in the back of your mind, you have these CrossFit goals. So transitioning into a place like that was probably awesome, especially coming from a gym where, there was some competitive people, but the majority, it's just like any CrossFit gym. The majority there are just exercisers and trying to stay fit to do their weekend activities. So what was it like going from that to like this super competitive gym, it sounds like, but then also feeling, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but you were pregnant and maybe like not up to what in your mind. So you're like, man, what are these people thinking of me? Like, I really am better than this, Was that kind of like a thing for you or not really?
I mean, yeah, it kind of was, because that was that. So I did the year that they had the open in the beginning of the year and then at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, the double one.
Mm-hmm.
That was 19.
Yeah.
I did the open in 19 in March, I guess. And I had found out that I was pregnant during that time. And then I did the open also at the end of the year in October.
Oh man.
Super, super pregnant.
Yeah.
What a savage.
So Evolution does their open workouts on Saturdays. So I did an open workout. I think it was with like cleans and pistols. I can't remember which one it was specifically, but I did that workout at the gym, super pregnant. And I think I just got respect from that.
Okay, good.
It's hard not to get respect doing that.
Yeah.
Especially going down into a pistol and
going down into a pistol.
You've got a human in your belly.
And I remember that workout.
Yeah.
It was a ladder of like clean and jerks and box jumps for a little bit, and then it turned into heavy clean and jerks and pistols.
Yes.
Yep. I remember me and my friend Justin, who actually was the original co-host for this podcast, we were doing YouTube videos during that open for like prep videos, like just from like a physical therapy standpoint. Sure. And I remember all the advice I gave for that specific workout, because it's just like a calf burner. Yeah, it just lifts you up from door to door. All right, cool. So you have Reagan, and I have to ask you this, because your good friend Reagan was a training partner of yours at Lake Effect. Is that where you liked the name from, or?
It's not actually.
Okay.
So my training partner from Lake Effect, his name is pronounced Regan.
Regan, okay. You're right.
Yes. Regan and Reagan is spelled the same. But no, it's one of my best friends. It's Reagan's godmother.
Okay, great.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, so talk about, it's kind of cool right now. We're seeing Cara Saunders, we're seeing Annie Thorisdottir, and a couple of these Cassidy Lancaster. Lance.
Yeah,
I can never pronounce her last name.
Reagan Huckabee too.
Yeah, Reagan Huckabee. Okay, so a bunch of these high-end athletes who have, gotten pregnant or, wanted to have kids and had kids, and now they're making these comebacks, and it's pretty incredible to see what everybody's doing. Talk about what it was like. From what I've been told from my wife and other females, the first 6 months is very hard or challenging to get back to actually like what you're used to as training. So talk a little bit about that. We have a lot of moms listening to this, and I know that it's going to be inspiring to them.
That's the big question.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big question. I feel like every woman has a different birth story, and I feel like dependent on what their birth story is or how they gave birth or what their experience was like, I feel like that shapes how, when your body is ready to go back into fitness. I was told to wait 6 weeks. I waited 4 weeks because I could not, I was getting so antsy just sitting in my chair, and I was watching Schitt's Creek, which was great. And yeah, that was, I waited 4 weeks, and I was, doing body weight stuff. But I think there is something huge to be said about mom strength. Not necessarily like lifting weights, but it's like, okay, I have this tiny human that I'm taking care of, and, I'm providing for. And I feel like that just gave me so much more like energy and fire and strength mentally, not just physically.
Right.
I can definitely attest to that. Working with female athletes, there's something different. Like men, obviously, men get aggressive, or they're like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to set out. But with women, they are very, I call it like playing a long game. Their ability to hammer down and be meticulous and go to like what we call like a dark place, pain cave, because of either childbearing or so on and so forth, is different than men. There's exceptions, obviously, with some of the men I've worked with in different communities, but I've watched females that can go to places that some of the best men I've worked with can't go to, and they can just sit and live in that place. And I'm like, that comes from having a child.
Definitely. So you kind of feel that with your training as well, what he just said?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey guys, we're going to take a break to thank our sponsors for today's episode. We're going to start off with CrossFit Greer. If you're living in the Greer area and are interested in getting started in CrossFit, go ahead and look up CrossFit Greer. Jen and Reagan Green are the owners there. If you mention the Apogee Podcast to them, they will give you 10% off your first month's membership fees.
I would also like to thank Blitz Belts and Chris Kane for their continued support of the show. So be sure to use their 15% off coupon code at checkout. That's Apogee, all caps. That gets you, the listener, 15% off at checkout at Blitz Belts on your custom order. I want to thank Goat Tape for being our new sponsor. Goat Tape has committed its brand to providing the best in athletic tape. They are the standard for CrossFit tape, scary sticky. Now they are providing the best in KT tape. So at checkout, be sure to get your 25% off your wholesale purchase. Use the coupon code Apogee at checkout.
Finally, if you guys would like to become an invested friend of the show and are interested in supporting the show directly, go to anchor.fm/Apogee Podcast and click on the support tab. We love bringing you guys awesome content each week, so be sure to subscribe to the podcast, drop a review, and let us know how we're doing. So talk about now that, she's getting a little bit older and she's walking around, and how old is she now? She's got to be like close to 2, right?
She's a little over a year and a half.
A year and a half, okay. So she's starting to communicate a little bit. She's running.
It's so fun.
Yes, that's awesome. That is one of the coolest things, and then one of the things that gets very old very quickly once they don't stop. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I love my kids. But talk a little bit about her running around in the gym and kind of observing what you're doing, and how, I guess I'm going to revert. We haven't really gone by the script too much, but I'm going to revert to one of my questions real quick. Okay. How has being a mother played into your training, as far as like trying to, obviously being a mom is very hard. You have to make sure they're fed, make sure they're taking their naps, make sure that they're getting socialized with other kids. There's just a lot of responsibility, and then you have to juggle that with your own aspirations and goals of training. So how do you juggle the daily life, and how does that work for your family?
Well, Alan's been in training a lot of, her life and, our family life together. So he's an amazing dad, but I have, especially, over the past 3 months, I've done it all by myself, with a lot of help from the military community. It's hard, but she's number one. Mm-hmm. Like family is number one. So as long as she is like taken care of. She's, she's got her food, milk, everything like prepped and ready for today. Then I move on to myself. Um, we've found, really good people to, take care of her for, the first 6 months that I got back to work. We ended up buying a house. My mother-in-law was here taking care of her, so she was in great hands. And now she's in daycare learning things and, colors and counting and all that fun stuff. And she's taken care of there. So I feel comforted knowing that. So I feel like I can, you know, I manage my gym as well. So I feel like I can dive into work 100% because I know that she's taken care of. Um, but yeah.
Was it tough dropping her off the first day?
Oh yeah. I cried.
Yeah, I think every single mom does. I mean,
Brandon, do you have kids?
I do not. I have a 70-pound dog that looks like a land hippo. That's my son. I tell everybody that's my son, but I do not have any children.
Basically a child.
Yeah, he gets it better than most human beings that I've ever been around. So,
Yeah.
No, man, I've always had dogs, and in my adult life here, and yeah, they're just as much work sometimes, especially bigger dogs.
Oh, that was part of it.
Bigger
when I came
dogs.
onto the podcast, I was literally like, all right, if I leave the gym right now, I gotta get home, I gotta feed my son, I gotta walk him.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, let me take like a 2-second shower, shoot up here, and as soon as I leave, make sure. So I can kind of get it. Nowhere near like what you do, but I can get it, trying to balance that.
I got to tell people real quick. I called Brandon, I think at 4:30.
Yeah.
And he was here at 6 o'clock, so he had no idea he was doing this until 4:30.
Yeah, I was in the middle of my PM session. Sorry, Coach Brian, if you hear this. And he called me, and then at first I was like, there's no way. And then back in my head, I'm like, man, I'm known for if people need something, go do it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to balance this. And I literally walked up to Emily, and I was like, hey, I got to go on this podcast. Here's your training for the day. Get after it. I'm going to go home, have a small heart attack, because I don't like talking, feed my son, and boom. I was here right at 6, and I'm like, all right, man, let's rumble.
What a good dude. I don't know if
That's how you know you have a good friend.
That's right. Did you guys
drops his training session?
I don't know if I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this listen to the Savon, Josh, and Matt podcast, and I think they have like a 20-minute segment talking about the difference between nice guys and good dudes.
Yeah. There's levels to it. There's
definitely, dude. I couldn't agree more. Good dudes is where you want to be.
I tried, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. So, where are we at with this? We're talking about your child. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the MACC and the comeback and preparing for the Open and talk about that.
Well, I had zero expectations for this year. Obviously I'm a competitor, but I had no idea what was going to happen or what I was going to expect of myself. I feel like quarterfinals was a no-brainer because 7,000 or whatever women were able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a no-brainer, but I feel like I wasn't sure if I could make it to semifinals because 120 women in North America, that's not a lot of people.
Right.
I always joke with everybody on the stat of that, like if you made it, let's say in the top 1,000, you had a better chance of getting eaten by a polar bear and then getting struck by lightning than to be fitter than the top, I think, 500 women. So like when you put it that way, that's ridiculous.
It is. It's harder to qualify for these semifinals than it ever was for a regional. So talk about quarterfinals. Walk us through that.
I feel like it was so long ago now. My husband had left shortly before that. So I was single parenting on that, and I have a really good coach and my training partner Chelsea, she's amazing as well, but we did all these workouts together. And he believed in me, so I think that helped me believe in myself a little bit more. And he says that, I can just go to a mental place, during those workouts that a lot of people can't go to. And I think that even pushed me more to go a little bit harder than I wanted to. But quarterfinals was fun. I really enjoyed that rope climb GHD workout. That destroyed me.
I was so bad.
So bad.
I mean, I knew kind of going into it, and then when I got off that round of 60 and started into 50, I was like, this is really bad. I couldn't imagine watching when I would see some of the people finishing. I'm like, nope, there's no way.
Yeah, that first round, I going into the second, I was like, I came out too hot.
Yeah, and you didn't know, and it's not one you want to redo necessarily either. So you're like, yeah, let's just wing this pistol, and then you're dying.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. So you made it through that.
Yeah, that was a shock too, because after all of the video analysis that CrossFit does, I ended up being 51st, which was right after or right before China Cho. I was like, what is happening right
awesome.
now?
That's incredible. So when you did notice at the end of quarterfinals that you did get 51st, like you just said, it was incredible. Was it shocking? It was like, I'm going to a semifinal. This is kind of surreal.
I did not want to make myself believe it until I had the actual invite.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, certain things can happen, like the Emmental situation, certain things can happen. And, I didn't want to, assume anything, but, I knew that I put in the work and have been working really hard on things that I'm bad at, and, trying to, come back from having a baby and all that stuff. It was shocking. Yeah, I'm still amazed at how this season progressed.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's one of those things, just like anything else, when you've been doing something for so long, put that mom strength on top of muscle memory, and you've got a super athlete.
Yeah. I also, Ben Bergeron says, humble, hungry, and I think horny, he says.
Okay, perfect. There you go.
There it is.
There you go.
Are the most dangerous ones. And I think that has been a game changer, just being down in North Carolina and being at this gym. I'm managing the gym. I'm doing remote nutrition and exercise programming. I got my baby, I got my husband, we bought a house. I am the happiest that I've ever been. I'm sleeping so much more. And I think that's just been a complete game changer from even in the past when I felt like I was at my fittest. After Reagan, all I said what I wanted to do was just, I wanted to get my body back, and I wanted to be as fit as I was in, 17, 18, and, the beginning of 19, but I've completely surpassed that. And I think just being a happy and healthy athlete has been a game changer.
Yeah.
We keep hearing that. That's the thing I think people listening need to hear, that I've kind of expressed to people in working with athletes at all levels, but now hearing her say it is, you got to be happy and you got to be balanced. You could be the best, you could have the drive, the genetics, whatever, but if you're not balanced and happy, at some point it's gonna break down. So to keep hearing her say that, it just kind of makes me happy, because at the end of the day, I mean, this is our business. This is what we do. We train. But to hear that her, she's got the family down pat. Her gym is supportive. She's sleeping well. She's enjoying this business, rather than it's like, okay, I got to show up. Because, I mean, I've even been in that where you're just like, yep, here we go. Here's another 9 sessions. I'm hating life. To hear a good athlete like this say that, people listening need to take note of that, rather than, oh, I need to count this macro, or just be happy and enjoy the process. So thank you for that, Miss Danielle.
Absolutely.
I love that. I have to make a plug for my boy Tom Brady out of Michigan. Okay? I'm totally taking a break out of this, but I got to hammer this home for all the haters out there.
Here we go.
All right? From an outsider looking in, I've been following this guy since he was in college. I'm not a New England fan, but I'm a Tom Brady fan because he is the epitome of what you just said. He's got a happy life. The guy doesn't drink. The guy doesn't do drugs. He doesn't go out and party. He's got a solid family. His wife is worth 3 times as much as him. So she's not marrying him for money, right? He goes to bed at the exact same time every single night. His room temperature is the exact same every single night, and it's completely dark. So he's getting that extra hump from
it's that
from
outlying
sleep.
factor.
It's crazy. Sleep is like the next performance enhancing drug that people didn't realize was so important.
Correct.
So
Not even necessarily performance enhancing, but life enhancing. Like
Yes.
people that, just want to get healthier, all you need to do is work less and sleep more.
Yep, absolutely. And I think this whole FOMO thing needs to go out the door because you really are going to miss out on life if you're angry and upset all the time because you're tired.
Exactly. And I don't think people try to pursue that like we pursue weightlifting or gymnastics or nutrition. People don't actually try to consolidate their day, especially if you're in this business. Consolidate your day to where, all right, this is time to train, this is time to work, but this is also my family. It turns into ... Like people like make fun of me now that I'm just an athlete now. I don't own the gym or do anything anymore, and I'll sleep in the middle of the day in between sessions, and they're like, "You're like 32. Why are you taking naps?" I'm like, man, because I remember what it was like waking up at 3:50 in the morning to coach a 5 a.m. class and then coach all day till 8 p.m. And I mean, you do that over years, you take a beating. And I learned that in the open. When I just get in there, I'm like, I don't even want to do this. Like now it's I may not have the numbers or the results I want, but that balance that she keeps talking about will win out over everything else that people are trying to pursue.
Absolutely. If I could take a nap every day, I would. 100%. Facts. Absolutely. So sorry for all you Tom Brady haters out there, but I had to make a plug. I mean, got this Michigan connection here.
I can't.
He's also got like hundreds of millions of dollars too that make him happy. But
I mean, that does help.
There's a lot of athletes out there that have that and they hate their life. So just think about that. And suicide is very, very prevalent in professional athletes too.
Also
so think
correct.
about that. All right, and a lot of professional athletes don't know how to manage their money. Think about
Also
that.
a fact.
So
also a fact.
It's funny. I was our local boy Jason Hopper here has been working with some of the Proven group this week, and he was working with Matt Fraser the other day, and he said somebody asked him what was the number one thing that you've learned from Matt Fraser so far, and it wasn't really a fitness thing. It was it's easy to make money. I mean, it's easy to make money. It's hard to keep it.
Yeah.
You know. So any of you pro athletes out there, think about that, and anybody really. Okay, so you get through, you qualify for semifinals. You have to go through the process of knowing which one you're going to. How did that play out?
Well, Chelsea and Luke Espy own the MACC, and they've been working on it for however long. So I wanted to compete at their event. And I was actually supposed to go to the MACC in 2019, but I got pregnant. So I had heard great things about the MACC and, wanted to compete there. And it would have been really cool to compete with Chelsea, but she obviously couldn't compete there. So yeah, I chose the MACC, and it was super close. It was like a 5-hour drive. So Reagan and I had a little road trip and drove to Knoxville.
So you got your first choice then?
I did get my first choice.
So what did you think when that roster came out and you saw all the names on there?
I mean, I did not think that I was going to be, top 10 and be in like the heat with him. So I was like, okay, that's super cool. Like, I've been to the Central Regional before. Brooke Wells have been there. Stacey Tovar, Sarah Siegmund's daughter. Like, so I was obviously super pumped, especially when T got added, because I was like, okay, this is just going to make the level of competition even harder, because all of those girls are going to compete to her level or try to compete to her level. And, I just wanted to, do my best and, try to get my comeback going again. I wasn't necessarily thinking about, everybody else in the roster and it being stacked because every semifinal was stacked. But I just thought it was another great opportunity, especially, Christine Kohlenbrander and she's from Michigan as well.
Right.
Her and I are close, and I was super pumped to compete with her. She's amazing, and it's been fun to watch her grow as a friend and as an athlete. So it was I mean, I met a ton of really awesome girls there too, and some people, stalked me on Instagram, I think, and, said that it was super cool that I had a baby and asked me what my experiences were, and that was cool to talk to them about. They're like, how hard was it to come back? I was like, it was really hard, but you can do it.
Well, that's the thing, man. I feel like the camera, the entire you got your moment because you were on the camera quite a bit during that competition, and then at the end, you went and got your daughter, and you and her had a lot of FaceTime on that camera at the end. So everybody saw y'all walking around with each other, and
that's who I do it for.
Yeah, man, it was awesome to see. Real quick, shout out to Christine. I'm reaching out to you, girl. So if you listen to this, I want you on this podcast. So
I'll let her know.
That. Okay, cool.
I'll text her after this.
Great. Okay, so you make it through the MACC. You get the Last Chance Qualifier. Talk about that. Was that like, wow, I made the Last Chance Qualifier. I was like, holy shit.
Can we just highlight, though, that she's going through the gauntlet of gauntlets. Like, she's super humble about it, but she went into the MACC, which was, I mean, all the semis were stacked, but that was a stacked, competition. Then, in my opinion, Last Chance Qualifier was even worse because everybody is a games athlete that just barely missed the window, and you're back in the fire again on your comeback, and
a month later,
that's what I'm saying. So you barely have any time to prepare or anything. And then MACC was the first one from a lot of the athletes I've talked to. That was a lot of ring rust, what I call it, because everything had been virtual because of COVID. So like, that's the first time everybody was back under the lights. And then a month later, I mean, you're throwing against the best of the best in your comeback year, and you never really broke down. How? Like, I did. I mean, I'm sure you did for your expectation of your coaches, but for 1 year back and to do that, I mean, most people would have stopped at like, all right, I got 30th out of 30th in MACC, I'm happy. You go in Last Chance, and then I was like, I started looking off the list because we talk about it here with Crucible, and you look down these women and men, and I'm like, oh yeah, there she is. She's in the MACC, and that's how I picked back up on you again. I was like, there's Danielle Dunlap, and then I was watching the MACC while I was training. I was like, dude, she is killing it. And then you go into a Last Chance Qualifier, and on a month's notice, what happens?
Still a little sensitive on the Last Chance for me. So my husband was scheduled to come home from his training that weekend, and I was super pumped to see him. And I'm not really sure what the sciencey term is for it, but your body is in like a high state of stress. He left like shortly after the Open. Well, it was during the Open that he left. He left the third week of the Open. I did quarterfinals without him. I did semifinals without him. And then he comes home the weekend of the Last Chance Qualifier. And my body just,
you needed a break.
I needed a break. Like, I did really well on Friday with the deadlift and the row workout. I didn't place well in the row workout, but my body felt great. And then Saturday I came in to do that legless rope climb workout, and I had nothing. Like, my double unders, my coordination was completely off. All my rope climbs, I felt like I was 300 pounds climbing that rope. There was something wrong.
What was the time difference between MACC and Last Chance? How long did you get?
I think there was a month in between, because the MACC was, well, maybe a little over a month, maybe a little over 30 days, because the MACC was on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And then, the MACC was 4th of July weekend.
And they didn't like tell you right away when the Last Chance Qualifier was going to be either. You had to wait for that, correct?
Yeah, they sent out an email, maybe a couple weeks after, stating that we would get more information on the 28th, but it was going to start on the 2nd.
Okay.
I love how CrossFit does
And that was it.
Yeah.
They're like the IRS, it's like, hey, you've got 2 business days to get ready. And I'm like, oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the 28th, they sent out the email at like 6:30 p.m. Our time. So I'm just sitting there refreshing my phone, like waiting for my email to come through. Like, what's going on? How many workouts do we have?
Now, is there a lot of stress in the gym with Last Chance with cameras and with coaching? Because I know a lot of people, even with doing like the virtual semis, I was hearing a lot of stuff about like camera angles had to be a big deal and setup had to be a big deal because people were getting penalized for angles. And did that play any factor with Last Chance with you?
I feel like we got our feet wet with the quarterfinals.
Okay.
So I feel like that was super stressful during that time because that was the first, you got to have the floor space, you got to have the camera
Sure.
angle, you got to start here, you got to end here, and that was the first time. I mean, all the games athletes did that in 2020.
Yeah, with the stage 1 stuff.
Right. But, 7,000 women doing, the floor setup and all that stuff. That was a little
Was it
stressful.
hard at Evolution to do that? Like, did you have a good setup? Because I kind of ran into some stuff with like a rope climb because we have at the gym I was at, shout out CrossFit Fountain Inn, we had a false bottom roof. So you couldn't see the top of the rope climb. So we had to did you have any trouble aesthetically?
Our gym is pretty big, so we didn't have any issues,
Well, that's good.
fortunately, but especially like with the people, that still do have the COVID restrictions. I saw Alethea Boone, they've got more COVID restrictions going on.
I just saw
and
that
she's
today.
working out
Yeah,
outside.
that's
Yeah.
horrible. There can only be 2 people in the gym at a time now, so she has to go back to training
Wow.
outside.
Yeah.
Wow,
Whatever happened to that Canadian athlete that got arrested?
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask that. I remember seeing the video where he had people watching outside while he was running the quarters because if you got caught doing something in the gym, you got arrested or something like that. But then I never heard anything that happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know there was a lawsuit going on, so I don't know how that played out. But that's
What a world
that's like
we
a
live
whole
in.
that's like a whole nother conversation.
Right? Yeah,
that
we can't even go.
I'm
into
not
that.
even getting
No,
into that because
no.
I will say something.
Yeah, I was about to
that
say,
I
man, we
regret.
can't.
Okay, so I kind of want to veer off the subject a little bit and go more towards maybe a little more personal life. So in 2016, 2017, you kind of start getting on the scene a little bit. Maybe your Instagram or social media is starting to grow a little bit. Did you have maybe like different sponsorship opportunities start reaching out to you at that point? Tell us a little bit about how that transpired and talk a little bit about what it's like managing a social media presence on top of being a mom, on top of training.
Yeah, I got connected with UR. They're out of Chicago. And they mainly worked with AJ, but they kind of didn't necessarily bring me on with contracts or anything, but they sent me, supplements and protein, and that was really nice because, I was, trying to be a full-time athlete, and protein and supplements are real expensive.
Yes.
Facts.
So that was really nice. And then AJ also got hooked up with Bear Complex. So I would talk to them when we would go to Wadapalooza and regionals and all that stuff. And they would hook me up with grips and stuff like that. So that was really nice.
I'm going to preface this real quick. When she says AJ, that's our friend AJ. But to all the rest of you, that's Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis Jr.
That's
yes.
right. Okay.
Yeah, 340-pound snatch.
I was about
Yes.
to say, just watch the Granite Games MACC lift. You'll be refreshed real quick.
He's
Yes.
strong.
He's very strong. All right. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. Well, I guess now I have gotten a lot of people reaching out after the MACC especially and the Last Chance Qualifier, which has been really cool. I met the people at Junk when I went to HOA with Christine and Jared and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And they sponsored my hotel, which was really great because I flew in and they paid for my hotel, and we were, the junk team, and
Mm-hmm.
that was
That's
super
huge.
cool. And I saw them at the MACC again, and then at West Coast when I went to cheer on Chelsea. And Jay was working the booth, and he asked me if I wanted to be an ambassador for them.
Nice.
And I love the junk headbands, so they're a cool company, and anybody that I've met at the semis have been really great. So I like being affiliated with nice people. So
That's always a
seemed like
plus.
Does help in this business.
Yes.
yeah. And then I started working with Swolverine as well. They're a supplement company. After I got pregnant, UR kind of fell off the face of the earth, to me anyways. So I met Swolverine, and then Chelsea had a photo shoot with them, and she was like, "Hey, you want to do this with me?" So I was like, "Okay, sure." So I met them, and they were taking on new athletes and graciously took me on as well. So I use this Wolverine products, and all super clean and dosed to where you actually get the effect of the supplement. Not
That's
just thrown in
important.
there. So that's always good.
That's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Where are we going from here? So
That's what I want to know.
next, what are your plans? What are you trying to do? I mean, obviously, I think you're going to keep training, and the ultimate goal is to get to the games, correct?
Yes. I have a team that believes that I can do it, and my coach is super smart as far as what I need as an athlete. So I'm doing things that I suck at and that I hate, but I know that are gonna make me better as a well-rounded athlete. So goal is to go to the games next year. If I don't, it doesn't make or break me. Um, you know, the process, the day to day, the things that I learn in the gym are have changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I am completely happy and satisfied not going to the games, but next year that is the goal. Alan's going to be home more next year, and Reagan will be going into preschool. Well, not, yeah, I guess preschool. So things are going to be a little bit more settled with our life this year. And I think that'll be really beneficial for my programming and my mental state of mind.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, obviously, from our conversation, we've all found out that Alan is away quite often. So maybe, and sounds like for the majority of your marriage so far, he's been away quite a bit. So maybe you haven't experienced like us other married couples that are listening to this, or like myself, like you have that first 2 years that's just bliss, and then not saying, babe, that it's not still bliss, because it is. She's gonna listen to it. She's like, why would you ever say that to Danielle?
Laura's a saint.
She is a saint. She has to put up with a lot with me. It's unreal. But you know how it is. You get into the mundane of the day-to-day tasks. Every relationship goes through that. I don't care who you are.
Sure.
Instagram's a liar. Every day is not perfect.
Facts.
So, but when he is home and you guys are able to hang out, what kind of stuff do you guys like to do together outside of CrossFit? And then when you are in the gym together, are y'all competitive against each other, or are you still like, man, I love you so much, you can take this one?
We love doing CrossFit together. I love working out with him. I think more so than he likes working out with me. But I think that's because I've gotten better than him.
And to clarify,
yeah.
her husband is a stud too.
He is.
Like, so this is not like, a one-sided thing. This is also a very high-level athlete that is also really good.
Real quick, I want you to tell the audience what you told me at Crucible, that Alan had just got done doing what before he was competing, and he still placed top 10, I think, right?
He was definitely
Yeah, he had the onset of COVID, during that time too.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
Just throw it on.
so he thought he was super sore, but had body aches, and I got COVID shortly after that. But he just got done doing. He would basically start his day waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he wouldn't get home until 9 o'clock. But he was doing his medical training. So it was like very intensive, not a lot of sleep. But yeah, he is a freak of nature. He is very, very strong, very enduring. Mentally, he can go to that place, and it's really fun when we work out together because a majority of the time, like he beat me. But now that he's gotten into more of his military training, I'm kind of coming up on his heels. So
That's awesome.
So
It's
when he's back, for the majority of the year and y'all are together, he's gonna wet his whistle with CrossFit again, and then it's gonna be butting heads.
Oh yeah,
For
there's gonna be a
sure.
throwdown in the gym.
There's gonna be a time where you're just gonna storm out. That happened with me and Laura once. It was
I mean,
terrible.
It happens in
I,
everything.
I literally thought, for the first time in our marriage, I thought that was that might have been a time where she would not come home.
It happens.
All
the
right.
competition in the gym between spouses is, yeah, it's something to be stood for. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. All right. So what kind of stuff do you guys like to do together outside of the gym?
We love coffee.
Cool.
Okay.
Yes. So any place that we typically like to go, we like to find a good local coffee shop. So
What's your favorite?
I mean, Starbucks is an easy one just because it's
Oh,
like
you can't do that.
everywhere.
Can't do
You know,
that.
you know you're gonna get the same thing every single time. But we like to go to like different like roasteries or anything local.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we like to, yeah, if anybody has any recommendations on good coffee places, like send them to me in my DMs because we want to go.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So coffee dates, we don't drink. I'll drink every once in a while, but he doesn't drink at all. So we like to do coffee instead.
That's
Mhm.
good.
We love The Office.
Okay. That never gets old.
That's what's
I
up.
always tell people about The Office. If you're having a bad day, you don't even have to watch the show. Just turn the opening theme song on and you're instantly in a good mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, just have it on in the background when you're cooking dinner.
Yes, I love that little jingle that they play at the beginning.
Right?
Yes, Reagan actually knows it so well. She starts dancing to it when it starts to
Oh,
play.
wow, that's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
It's the cutest thing.
Oh man. Cool.
But yeah, we love The Office. We love going on walks and just like reading together. Any really quality time has become really important to both of us just because we've spent so much time apart.
Mhm.
That every moment that we get together, I really truly cherish. So
That's awesome.
Again, the balance, man.
It is.
The balance.
It's the balance.
the
I want
balance.
to revert back to Starbucks. Starbucks gives me anxiety.
I can't do it, man. Every time
It
I'm in
does.
the airport, I freak out. I'm like,
Well, I just don't ever know what to say.
yeah, that's me.
I don't
It's
know what
like-
to say.
I mean,
You got to order on the app.
I'm old
I'm
school.
not. I don't go there enough. Laura has it. She just hands them her phone with the app on it, and that's how she pays.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
I would tell you see these TikToks or like I don't watch TikTok. What am I saying? These reels.
Got
Got
'em.
And
Let's
you,
go, Dad. Get it
right?
together.
That's right. And you see these. I've seen these videos where a couple will roll up to a Starbucks and the wife is just like spitting off like random
It's another
stuff,
language.
and the guy is just totally saying it like it's an actual coffee, and then she's just it's that would be me.
That's me. I mean, like, I'm from New York City, so you would go get a bagel and then you go get a cup of coffee. Like that's just how it worked.
Yes.
Have a coffee.
Yeah,
Coffee.
there it is.
There it is.
But you go to Starbucks and they're like, "You want a vent?" And I'm like, "Okay, just get some coffee." And then
Yeah.
they look at you like you're like the biggest peasant, and I'm like, "Take my."
Yeah,
time."
you say, can I just get a medium cup of coffee?
And you
they're
don't
like,
even mean to be rude. You're just like, I don't know the words.
You mean our Grande Blonde roast?
There it is.
Exactly.
There it
I
is.
see. I would never know to
I
say
didn't
that. I
notice
just
that.
I'm a black coffee guy. I don't do
Yeah,
anything
I'm
special.
that
I'm
gas station
boring.
coffee.
Yep. All right. So, what are some of your life goals outside of CrossFit? Like, do you have any? It could be business aspirations, trip aspirations, retirement aspirations. Like, what's some of your like 1 or 2 goals that
I'm
you're
curious.
really aspiring to achieve someday?
So I'm really trying to work on that, trying to have the long-term goals. I stopped doing that for a while, and Alan's definitely got me back into, goal setting. Um, so as far as life outside of CrossFit and wanting to go to the games, I would like to own my own business, my own gym, really. Well, our gym, so it would be Alan and I's.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I
we
train there.
are officially stationed in North Carolina, so we're going to be here for however long. I've talked to my gym owner and my boss about possibly owning Evolution. So there are talks of that, but I talked to my husband this weekend actually about it, and I want to wait to look into any of that until I get the CrossFit competitor out of me.
Mm-hmm.
That way I can focus solely on that because I know owning a gym isn't all, fun and games and working out all day.
Mm-hmm.
It's even just managing the gym. It's stressful.
And you have
So
time. That's the one thing I think I would tell you right now is having co-owned a gym with somebody and then also having somebody with same dreams as her. It is a different animal to train at that level. And then, oh, by the way, the bathroom's broken, or by the way, like, I mean, you're already doing so much. I would just say take your time with it because that is a tough, and I mean, you already have a great supporting cast. I think you would do fine with it, but that's just a different road. Like, I noticed it even for me with training and even just as a coach, going from coaching like a regional or a games level athlete to owning and working with so many people. It takes so much different aspects where it's like, oh yeah, like Wi-Fi's down, or everything that's not to do with what we're good at comes up every day. So I would just say keep making that run, man. I'm curious to see you get to Madison. I ain't gonna lie.
thanks.
It's
I'm
gonna
gonna
happen.
try.
It's gonna happen. I hope you
Alright.
make it because I'm planning on being there next year.
There it is.
So, not to compete, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Right.
He's making a run
That's
himself.
right, baby. Masters 22.
Hey, man,
Let's
do it.
go.
Let's
go.
go.
Let's go.
Let's do it, man.
All right. So this is the part of the conversation where we get to rapid fire questions.
All right.
So this is where me and Brandon just think of random things to ask you, and you spit it right back at us.
I'll do my best.
All right.
I'm
cool.
ready.
You go 1st.
I'll go first. All right. We'll top it off with a West Michigan classic question. All right, and I know you don't drink anymore, but if you were drinking, would you rather go spend the day at a brewery, a West Michigan brewery like Founders or Bell's or whatever, or maybe something a little bit on the smaller scale, or would you rather go up north and do some wine tasting for the day?
Wine tasting.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh man. All right. Beach or mountains?
Beach. Absolutely.
Everybody says that.
Dude,
Raised
I'm
on the
keeping it easy.
water.
you should have seen this girl when I first met her. I
She's
mean,
one of
she's
those.
darker than me.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
I like to go tanning.
Yeah, no, I'm
Anymore,
not.
though. I
I'm
like
not
my
hating on
skin.
it.
I got
I
you.
can't stand when I'm opaque. So
I'm over here white as ever.
Yeah.
yeah. All right. What's your favorite Olympic lift?
I like to snatch.
Cool.
Okay.
So when they had that at the MACC as the first event, it naturally, my arms are really long, so I can get up as a better position with the barbell with the snatch versus the clean and jerk. But that's the clean and jerk I'm gonna work on this year for sure.
So what did you end up getting on that snatch?
I hit 180, and then
Wow.
that's a lifetime
Nice.
PR.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Lifetime PR on the stage. That's awesome.
Fantastic.
That barbell felt so light. I don't know what it was.
I'm telling you, it's
I don't-
competition bars. I think there's something like, well, obviously because they're fresh, but
If you've got a good ollie bar, everything is easier, I feel like.
I did a weightlifting meet one time, and it was a nice competition at Elko Bar, and I was literally in the warm-up area, and it was just a local meet, and I can recall a guy opening up, and he was just snatching in the warm-up area, and the bar went so fast it hit him in the face and split his face open, and I was literally packing his face, and then I had to go out for a clean and jerk.
Oh,
and I was like,
goodness.
So a good bar, man, it'll either make you really good or it'll make you really bad.
That's true. All right, go for it.
More strict pull-ups. You or your husband?
And don't lie.
Yeah, I was about to say don't, because I've seen the man, and I kind of know his credentials.
And
so
he's military.
Yeah, I'm curious.
And not everybody can see your face right now, so
Yeah,
we
so-
know.
I was about to say.
We know.
I'm gonna say right now probably me, since he's been in the field for 2 weeks or
Okay.
10 weeks.
Mhm.
But if he was like training, it would be him.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. I like this question. I ask pretty much everybody this question. If Harrison, our producer here, gave you a paid black card and Alan was to come home tonight and y'all were heading to the airport for all expenses paid vacation, no COVID restrictions for like 2 weeks, where would you go?
I would want to go on our honeymoon.
Okay.
Sure. Oh, you haven't gotten one of those yet.
Come on. Oh, man.
Wow. Okay.
All right, where y'all going?
I don't know specifically where, but I know where I want to be. I want to be on one of those little huts on the water where you
Fiji.
can see the fishies through the floor.
Yep.
Yup, Fiji,
And a
Maldive,
little hot tub.
Maldive Islands.
Yep.
I think we've got more of those answers to that question than any other.
Until you look
Except
at
the
the
guy,
price.
the guy last week, he said Europe. I was like, well, that's
kinda
almost
broad.
brilliant, right? Because you can travel anywhere in Europe once you're there, just via train. But
Yeah.
that's
I've heard Europe is really dirty though.
yeah,
Well, hang on. It depends. So, like,
Touristy areas.
I spent time in Europe, so like in Sweden and Finland, I had a notion that it was like, all right, 6'5" people, so on and so forth. It was actually really nice and had a lot of history to it. And then, but like you said, there are some places where it gets a little dirty. But when you say Europe, I mean, are we talking Italy or are we talking?
yeah.
more,
That
like-
was so Dave. If you hear this, Dave, that was so
I
Dave.
was gonna say you gotta be specific.
Nah,
I don't know where I want to go. I just know that I want to be on a hut. I don't want to have anything to do. I just want to just relax.
Do you think if you went on that vacation, you could go a whole 2 weeks without working out?
No.
Okay.
I think she could.
I don't think she could. I think she'd be doing push-ups or like, have you seen those people doing sit-ups into the water and then out of the water again? Have you seen
But
those?
does that
That's
define-
insane.
But I don't know if that counts as working out. Like,
Dude,
she's
for
getting-
me it is.
I
If I
mean,
try
yeah.
one of those, I'm cashed for the
Well,
day.
yeah, I'm dying. Yeah. I mean, I guess. Yeah. I don't think I would though. I mean, going on vacation, I don't think she would, because this is what we do all day, every day. I think she's gonna swim and run a little, but she's not sending thrusters on the beach like it's Mortal Kombat or something.
You never know.
I mean, if she is, though, I wouldn't be
she's
surprised.
gonna find the heaviest rocks and put them in her hands.
Right,
and do
the Hawaiians
thrusters.
do.
I-
Just
Yep.
I
under-
feel like I have a slightly small addiction and I would be working out.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, you can't do that. You gotta live a little, man. Especially since you need a honeymoon. You know, work out every day.
All right.
Well,
Let's
I
move
mean,
on.
honeymoon activities could be a workout.
Yeah, I knew that was
Yeah,
coming, so I was just like, is it coming?
I'm minding
No,
my
I agree
business.
with you 100%. I
Gotcha.
mean, Ben
Yeah.
Bergeron was correct. So.
Facts.
Yeah.
But I'm
All
minding my
right,
business.
go for it, man.
Ultra marathon or ultra swim? Which would you rather do?
Ooh.
Good question.
And we're talking like 100K ultra or a 20-mile ocean lake swim.
Ooh, wow.
We're talking like extreme.
That is extreme.
I would say comfortability wise, I would just want to go running, but that would destroy me, my knees and my my ankles and hips. I will tell you, after childbirth, running and hips, like they hurt really bad. As a physical therapist, I would love to know your opinion on that. But I feel like I would want to challenge myself and do the open water swim. I would assume if you're going to do an ultra marathon swim would be open water. I feel like I would want to train for that.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun, except it would have to be like in Lake Michigan because I'm not looking for some sharks.
I was about to say the
No.
only thing I could think of is
Yeah.
like in Hawaii where like I've heard stories of some people that'll swim from like, I don't know, just like Hilo to Kauai and back, and it's like 30 miles.
Yeah, but I just got done watching that one movie where that surfer girl who got her arm cut or chopped off by a shark, and that was in Hawaii.
Well, I mean, yeah, but then that happens no matter what. But they did say stories like
I'm
that.
doing it in Lake Michigan.
I would probably
I'm safe there, except for like those crazy like extra terrestrials that come out every once in a while.
Those creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Plus, if you're swimming in Lake Michigan, you don't get the mouth full of salt.
That's correct.
It is always really nice.
That's correct.
That does help.
All right. Yeah, we can touch on that hip thing when you're here for Crucible.
There it is.
There it
Yes.
is. Let me think. Okay. Since you have not technically been to the games yet, if you could have a games athlete come to Evolution and work out with you for a week to do like a training camp, and then not only are you training with them during the day and then she's going to like her Airbnb or he's going to his Airbnb, but y'all are like hanging out and going and get coffee at that local place that people are going to DM you about.
Right.
Who would that
Yes.
be?
Well, I mean, I feel like the obvious answer is Matty Frazier. I mean,
Yeah?
he loves coffee. He loves guns. He's got an old truck. I feel like we would just mesh really well. But besides the obvious answer, I met Justin Medeiros
Okay, yeah.
at the MACC,
Mhm.
and Adam Knifer is Alan's old teammate. And
That's a good
I love
connection.
Adam. He's
Yeah.
he's such a good dude.
There it is.
There it is, man.
Such a good dude.
Good dude.
So I would really, and Justin was really nice too. He just seems like a super like outgoing and another good dude.
Mhm.
So I feel like I would want to train with him and Adam.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. I could totally see that.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, go for it.
Oh,
Maybe a few
man.
more.
AM workouts or PM?
Both.
I mean, no. We're not talking split sessions. You only get one a day. Are we going 5 a.m. or are we going like 4 o'clock?
Definitely 4 o'clock
All right.
versus 5 a.m.
Thank God.
I need coffee, I need water, and I need oatmeal
There it is.
before I work out.
I don't know how some of those people do that.
I don't
There's
either.
the people that go to the 5 a.m. classes are special.
I
They do
tried
it
That's
it.
what I
every
keep telling
day.
Laura. She's special because that's where she goes. She still goes to the 5 a.m.
That's amazing.
It is.
I
I have an
tried it. I
excuse
can't do
now
it.
that I don't go because we have kids, so
Yeah.
somebody's got to stay home with them.
I just
What happens when they get older?
I'm still not going.
No,
dude.
we're not
No,
doing
dude.
that.
We are set in our ways at that point.
couldn't imagine
Yeah.
pushing the pace that sometimes is required at that hour.
Yeah.
Like I could.
Well, especially at that hour too, like your body needs fuel
Yeah.
for high intensities. There's no way you're waking up at 4 a.m. to eat breakfast to go to the 5:30 CrossFit class and your breakfast is going to be digested.
Correct.
True.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm sure there's people that do it and, you know, make runs at the games, or they do what they got to do.
They're
The
also-
Masters athletes.
I've met one, I think. Well, I didn't meet, but I heard a story once. It was Lindsay Vaughn when I was in Australia. She was like living in Hawaii or something at the time, and she would train at 4:30 in the morning and then like run the gym. But she would go to bed at 6 p.m. Now, if you're going to bed at 6 p.m., I could live with a 4 a.m. But like if you're a normal person and you're going to bed at 9 or 10, you're waking up at 5 and doing a quarter or any type of block train, no, you've lost your mind. Crazy person.
Do you
Gotta do
have
what you gotta do.
Do you have any weird like superstitions or like quirks that you do before going out into a competition floor?
I do, and this is super girly.
Okay, what is it?
I need gum. I need gum to work out.
That's
if
not
I
girly.
don't
I
have
do
my
that.
gum, I got cotton mouth.
Uh-huh.
And I just like I have to stop. Like I did this like the first year I was competing at Granite Games individually. I forgot my gum and had to walk off the floor, go get a drink of water, and finish my workout.
Oh man.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then lip gloss. I need my lip gloss.
Makes
Okay.
My lip gloss
That
will
makes
either
sense.
be
Makes sense.
in my shorts or it will be up my pant leg. And
While you're
My,
working out?
yes,
Or-
I need it before I go on the floor.
Okay, but so before but then do you like put it to the side while you're doing the workout?
No.
I mean, most of the time you forget about it.
She
Wow.
smashes a
Forget
lifetime
shit on the
PR
floor.
with lip gloss in
Yeah.
her thigh.
It's
That
like,
is
why do I have a
tremendous.
weird bruise on my thigh?
But I've seen that before.
It's
I've
like-
seen that
Well, you
before.
gotta put it in a strategic place.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you hide your chalk, you put it in your shorts.
Sure.
You know, wherever it's gotta go. Some people put it in their sports bras. I think that's a little
Yeah,
weird. with
Yeah.
that's too much.
A little lumpy.
Imagine that at the end of the night.
No,
No,
a little crusty.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. You're in Madison. You're on the last chance, whatever, the last workout. You're on the podium. You're going for the top 3. Who are the 2 girls that you would want to see to your left and your right?
I would want to see Christine Kohlenbrander.
Yeah, okay.
And it's a great question for the other one. I think I met Reagan for the first time at West Coast. I went up and introduced myself, but Alan had trained with her and, you know, here and there with CFE and all that stuff. And she seems super sweet. So I feel like I would want her to be up there just because she's a fellow mom.
Absolutely. I'm going to give her a shout out because she was like my wild card when I was doing my picks for the West Coast Classic, and I got the women perfectly.
Did you really?
I did.
Nice.
I did.
She is strong.
She's good.
That's hard
She's
to do.
fit.
I like her attitude.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Danielle, real quick, where can our audience find you on the social medias? What's your handles?
Jack Danielles.
Jacked Danielle.
Tremendous.
Like
right there.
Jack Daniels, but I'm a girl, so it's
So
Danielles.
With two L's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So that's Instagram, and that's pretty much most of your social media platform, correct?
Yeah, just Instagram.
Yeah, I feel like
Everything
that's
else
right.
is a pain in the ass.
It sure is, man.
100%.
All right, cool. Well, any last words you want to say?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was great to connect and chat. I know at Crash we didn't really get a huge opportunity
Yeah.
to talk because we're just so busy and focused and all that stuff. And Brandon, it was great to meet you.
It was a pleasure. I mean, I remember the first time I've seen you, and now seeing you. It's been as a fan, like not as an athlete, but to watch what you've done in 9 months now since Crash. Now hearing the whole story, you got a fan from me, because I mean, I knew you were coming back, but I didn't realize you had husband was in the service doing everything, plus that recent postpartum, and then to make a run. Yeah, you're my dark horse from now on, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Every athlete has something going on, but
You didn't show it. She was in a warm-up area and legit doing like full front splits, and I'm over here like, the hell is going on here? And just goes out and just sends this air runner, and I'm like, nope. And
I think I came off the air runner like last.
yeah, but then you settled in. Like everybody else came off the air runner, and for the most part, besides a few people, and died. Like I remember watching people on that GHD, like dying, and then I'm like, because I remember Hannah was in the same heat, and I was like, you only got one in front of you, and she was in the left corner, and I was like, looked at the name, I was like, Danielle Dunlap, and then from then on, I was like, because at the time I was just watching the athletes, and that's when you came on the radar, and I was like, okay, this girl is somebody, and now speak no more, listen to those credentials.
Yeah, and in my standpoint, when I wrap this up, I just want to say it's really cool to see like this full circle Danielle, from seeing you as like an early 20s girl, doing your thing. Obviously, we all go through our early 20s blues. I think every single person does. We have students right now and constantly coming in, and it's funny to hear their conversations and just uneasiness about the world and what's going to happen in their life. And I always say, like, you just wait like 8 to 10 years. Your life is going to be completely different than it is right now, and you just have no idea where it's going to take you.
I was dreading my 30s, dreading it.
Yep.
And I have never been like more happy.
It's the best decade, I
my
think.
life or where I'm at. I feel like life just continues to get better.
For sure. So it's been great, like, you know, having you as a friend when we were in Michigan, and then as a coach as well, and then working out with you, and then seeing you progress past just like being an exerciser, and then seeing you make the regional and watching it while we're in South Carolina, and then being like, wow, this is really surreal. Like, this is somebody we know. This is somebody that we've been with, we've hung out with. And then just seeing where you've gone with your new family, and just the the growth that's happened. It seems very evidently personally. It's just really cool to see. So
Thank you.
I'm really happy you came on. I'm really excited to see you compete in October, and then 2022. Let's go.
Yes.
All
Hands
right.
down, baby.
Y'all heard it here on the Apogee Fitness Podcast.